It's time for another iris folding tutorial. This time it's a landscape tutorial, and you can use any different colours that you would like to. For this one I've kind of gone for a different array of fields. The basic equipment you'll need the pattern, blank aperture, which is just a hole in the card, scissors, tape, tack, paper, origami paper's great, sparkly card, an option is a hole punch, a corner trimmer, and also a tassel. Controversially, I put my tassel at the bottom. The pattern, I'll put the link to be able to get the pattern in the description. The blank aperture, use a piece of card to cut a rectangle size that matches the pattern. You can either use a craft knife or you can use a cutting machine. Scissors suitable for cutting paper. Tack, like some blue tack to hold your pattern and your blank securely in place while you're working, and tape, and it's much easier if you use a dispenser like this that's weighted, so you can actually just use the tape with one hand. I like to use this little hidey hole here to hide my blue tack for when I'm doing my iris folding. It fits in snugly in there, and you can just replace your tape as well. I quite like this tape. It's magic, Scotch magic tape, and it just peels off really well if you put things in the wrong place. You're looking for lightweight paper between 60 and 80 GSM, so origami paper is really great for this. Bit of sparkly card for your sun or your moon and doing your backing, but you can choose whatever you'd like. If you want to go kind of plain and matte, you can do. So I've drawn out this pattern, and I'm now just going to start numbering my pattern from where I started on it. So this will be already on the pattern, it'll already be numbered for you, but it's also really easy just to have a go at making your own of these as well. So this is going to be a landscape pattern, so each of these little sections are going to be like a little field. I have previously done a seascape version of this as well, and you'll be able to find that. I'll leave a link to that at the end, and I'll pop it in the description as well. You just need to make sure that you follow the numbers as you go, and from starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., and that you don't go out of order. For this part at the top, it doesn't matter whether I started at the left or kind of that top bit at the right. Just make sure you're following all the way round. And whereas normally with iris folding you get like a centre, you're not going to get that on this. You're going to cover that very last bit completely, just with a strip of standard paper. So you want to position your pattern securely to whatever you're working on. So table, clipboard, a book, just so that you've got a nice flat surface to be able to use. Once you've got this taped in place, you're then going to get your blank aperture, and you are going to line that gap up with your pattern. So we're going to be working on the reverse, so the brown is my front, so I'm going to turn it over and make sure that I'm working on the back. So I just line that up with the rectangle on my pattern. And once that's securely in place, I'm ready to go. I just picked some random pieces of origami paper and also a bag that I'd got as well to use for my different fields and my sky as well. It's a good one if you want to just use up little scraps of paper as well. I don't think any of the fields kind of were much more than one kind of sheet of paper. When you're doing your strips, you want a strip that's about maybe 1.5 centimetres in width, and you fold it so that about 1/3 of your paper is folded over. So you've got 2/3 one side, 1/3 the other side, and you'll see you've got this fold line. And when you're working on it, the shorter side is facing you and the longest side is the section that we are going to be putting down. You measure for number 1, make sure it covers across the aperture and then secure in place with a piece of tape. Now you don't need to secure the entire thing in place, you just need to have a little bit of tape to keep it in position. We can always add extra tape to make it more secure towards the end. So for mine, I have, like I say, done fields. So this is a very green field that I started with. Now this is mulberry paper. Now this is the only paper that I actually do fold in half rather than folding that third, and it's because it's quite transparent and I don't want to be able to see any of the edges when I put it onto my design. So I fold that in half just to make sure that I can't see any of the edges. However, I really fancied using the mulberry paper as I thought it'd make a really nice textured look for one of my fields. So you keep just measuring, cutting off the amount that you need and securing in place. Each time following the numbers very carefully from 1 all the way up to the final number. This means that you're not having to do any intricate cutting or anything like that. Each piece overlaps perfectly with the papers that have gone before it to make a really pretty design. Now, as I mentioned, you can go for whatever colours that you would like to. So I've gone for very kind of British green fields, kind of brown fields, yellow, kind of those sort of colours. But you could really go for whatever you like. So here I've just speeded things up so that you can see I'm just repeating the same thing over and over for each of my different fields. I work kind of on the left hand side, and then once I've done that, and then flip back over and work on the right hand side. And the pattern starts to build up quite nice and quickly. I've used mulberry paper again there, but a slightly different colour. So again, that's why I've folded the paper in half rather than doing the kind of third 2/3. And there's my final field going on. So now I'm looking for some blues. And I've gone for some holographic paper and also some sparkly origami paper. I've also used a paper bag. Origami paper is great for using, but you can just use paper bags inside of envelopes. So iris folding originally was used by using the insides of envelopes. So there we have our fields and our sky, and I'm just going to cut out a sun. If you would like some help in cutting out a circle, then just trace around kind of the inside of the sellotape ring or the end of a Pritt stick or something to be able to get your circle. So it doesn't have to be a sunny day. You could always have a moonlit landscape and you could go for a moon. I'm going to use some double-sided tape to secure my sun in place. Now the other thing that's worth mentioning, when I did my sky section, I made sure that top right corner that you can see now, so when we'd got it flipped over, it was the top left corner. I didn't put too much sellotape there, just to make sure that I didn't have too much sellotape all in one place. So where I placed sellotape was much more kind of in the middle or lower down of those sky rays. So this, I'm just nibbling off the corners just to give a nice finish. And I'm doing that on the blank that I've used, the aperture, but I'm also going to do it on what I'm going to back it onto as well. So I've chosen some green sparkly card. Now, because it's a little bit padded in places where we secured things with the sellotape, the best way of securing this in place is actually using foam pads, because we can keep that nice padded kind of feel, but without it being kind of too uneven. So if you use double-sided tape or anything, it can seem a bit bumpy. Now, I know it's controversial where you put a tassel on a bookmark. I've always gone for at the bottom, but I do believe most people go for at the top. So wherever you're going to put the tassel, don't put the foam pad in that location, just to make sure that you're going to have the space to be able to put your hole in. If you don't want a tassel, that's absolutely fine. You can stick the little foam pads in place. You take off the backing of them. I have done these all so that you don't have to watch me struggle in taking the backing off, because anyone who's used kind of double-sided things like that before know it can sometimes be a bit of a faff. So here we go, we're securing it in place. And this just gives a really nice even feel to your bookmark. I'm going to add a golden yellow tassel. So I'm going to use a single hole punch. You could use a double hole punch as well. Just work out exactly where you would like it. I kind of hold it firmly in place where I want it to be, and then I use both of my hands, mainly because my hand strength isn't great. So that's how I kind of work it. You might be able to do it just with one hand. Then insert your loop through, and then place your tassel ends through that loop. It's a lark's head knot, and it leaves a nice finish. Like I say, controversial, I know that it's at the bottom. So there you have it. That is our iris folding landscape tutorial. I hope you have enjoyed watching. Thanks so much for watching.